that was a really good bounce back game after sort of getting it taken to them by the Leafs on the national stage last night and having a bit of controversy around some Toronto fans who maybe say that this team isn't for real, and analytically, sure, maybe they're not at the top of the charts, but I mean, a heart and soul game from the Canucks, maybe after the first period, especially the last 40 minutes after surviving the first, and then they came out and they just took care of business against a Habs team that, based on the way the Canucks are playing, they should beat. Now, if the Habs weren't on the second night of a back-to-back, maybe that game goes differently, because I think that helped the Canucks, especially since they were a little bit slow to pucks. But let's do the normal thing. Let's recap this one. I've got a lot of pluses and minuses at the end of this one to give you my actual thoughts on this game. Let's start with the first period. Real dangerous chance comes for Tanner Pearson. Tyler Myers just sort of let him walk past him. A really nice play up. Pearson rips it off the post. The horn guy thought it was in. He sounded off, but it did not go. And honestly, other than that, I mean, first period shots were 9-8 for the Habs. It was very low event, seemingly like not really high danger chances. However, the story of this line, or the story of this period, I should say, of the first period, was the PB and J line forecheck. Obviously, that is Phil DiGiuseppe, Brock Besser, JT Miller. They had probably 3 or 4 or 5 just turnover-worthy plays in the offensive zone. My note here is it felt like there was a dozen giveaways from the Canucks end in their own zone, which wasn't great. They were very, very scrambly. They were just kept getting rid of pucks in bad places up the middle. I know Bluger had a very bad one. I think that might have been in the second period, but the first period, the Canucks should have been happy to get out of that 0-0 because I think one line played well, the rest didn't. But for the second period, bit of a bad start. Tyler Myers gets hurt, sort of goes in awkwardly into the boards, and then like 15 seconds later, Carson Soucy takes a puck to the leg and goes down. Soucy didn't return, which is a problem. This Canucks team does not have great defensive depth, with Mark Friedman seemingly not in the lineup. I'm not sure why that is, and with Noah Juulsen having to draw in, and honestly, Juulsen was okay for the most part. This Canucks team does not have the defensive depth to run with guys getting hurt. So hopefully Soucy's okay. But the Canucks do get on the board first. Quinn Hughes, great play out of the Canucks zone. Quick up to JT Miller. Connor Garland's just gunning it to the net. JT Miller fires it across, and Garland just sort of reaches out with the stick, gets the backhand on it, and it just deflects perfectly. A nice little sweep, slides it past Jake Allen for the Canucks to make it 1-0. Garland's got his second of the year, and by the way, it's one of my pluses for the night, but Connor Garland was everywhere tonight. Probably his best game of the season, and it's probably not even close. The Habs did answer moments later. The Canucks were just second to every puck. And it's sort of what I mentioned from the first period. It seemed like the puck would go to the corner and it would take a half second for the Canucks to react, turn, and finally start going to it, to the point where the Habs won every single battle, essentially every single race to every puck, and they were creating chances off of it. It was a point shot from Dvorak. It just snuck through. It's one DeSmith probably wants back, but he did get it back because the Canucks challenged for offside. It was one of the fastest reviews you'll ever see. It was offside. Guy was a full step offside. They bring it back. So it's still 1-0. And the Canucks come right the other way after that offside call. Lots of pressure going on in the offensive zone from the Pettersson, Mikheyev, Kuzmenko line. Jake Allen loses his stick. And if you're a goalie, I'm not, but I've been told if you don't have your stick, you're just sort of off balance, right? You're used to that right hand having some weight in it, having something there, to the point where Mikheyev comes back into the zone. Allen didn't have time to get his stick when the puck got cleared because it never made it past center. Pettersson sets a little bit of a pick. Mikheyev goes in and he shoots glove side, which I don't think Allen was expecting. A goalie doesn't have a stick. You're expecting, okay, the shot's going to come stick side, maybe 5-hole, maybe on my blocker, like just below my blocker where my stick would normally be. But Mikheyev goes glove, which I don't know if he meant to do that, thinking, oh, the goalie's going to think I'm going blocker, and maybe some mind games there. And it was a great shot, though. Just a snipe, far post to make it 2-0. And then right after that, Mike Matheson gets called for a high stick. So the Canucks have a 2-0 lead, and they're looking to pile on, make it 3. And unlike yesterday, where the Canucks' first power play unit was absolutely abysmal, and I mean abysmal, every single time PP1 touched the ice, nothing happened. Tonight, PP1 was excellent. Great power play. They just couldn't get one to go. And they go 0 for 2 on the power play tonight. Again, only 4 minutes of power play time, and the refs just sort of let them play. And not like there was a bunch of chippiness, really. That 0 for 2 is really underselling how good the Canucks power play was tonight. They had so much pressure in the offensive zone. Pettersson was making nice moves to create chances, and he was sort of invisible other than that, but couldn't get one to go, which is unfortunate. And then after the power play, Casey DeSmith has to make 3 big saves, all on Slavkovsky. Slavkovsky's struggling, right? I think if Slavkovsky's in a groove and he's not fighting the puck the way he is now, one of those probably goes, but DeSmith was all over it, made some really big saves. And then just after that, we have Elias Pettersson drops it or finds Sam Lafferty, who's sort of trailing the play as they enter the zone. He puts it into the open crease. He goes behind the goalie, slides into the crease, wide open net. Jake Allen is in no man's land, but the Habs tie Beauvillier up. Beauvillier couldn't get the stick on it, so it remains 2-0. And then Connor Garland had that first goal. This one he did more. Honestly, I feel like he had more of an impact on this goal than the one he scored. He creates a ton of pressure. He forces a turnover behind the net, just skates hard behind the net, forces a turnover. The puck comes out in front, sort of a jam play, like everyone's batting at the puck, and Garland comes out, keeps skating. His feet never stop moving, and we almost talk about that as a criticism of him sometimes, where we say, it looks like he's doing a lot, but he really isn't at times. This one, he was doing a ton. He gets there, he finds the rebound, he gets a shot off, that gets stopped, and then Dakota Joshua ends up chipping it in to make it 3-0. Garland created that whole play. Philip Hronek gets thrown a second assist on that one, sort of as a bone, and his point streak continues to 10 games. And then, dying seconds of the second period, because that Joshua goal came with about 2 minutes left. Almost a bad finish to the period. Teddy Bluger with a bench-worthy giveaway. Now, he didn't get benched, but he gave it away to Gallagher alone in front, essentially. Casey DeSmith makes an absolutely enormous save to keep it 3-0 going to the third period. And the difference between 3-1 going into a period and 3-0 going into the third is dramatic, right? 2-goal lead, you're thinking, hey, we just got to get one, we're right back in it. 3-goal lead, it is a real uphill battle. So we go to the third. And by the way, shots in the second period, 14-8 for Vancouver. Second period dominance. They have continued that theme after those first 4 games where they weren't so good in the second period. They've been so good in second periods. They go up 3-0 solely on the second period. We go to the third. First dangerous play is about 5 minutes in. Tyler Myers just gets beat and then slashes his man. DeSmith makes a great save all by himself. It's one of those penalties where it's like a weak reach around slash in the hands that is really only called on breakaways, but it's called on breakaways every single time. So Myers goes to the box. Cole Caulfield has a great chance here. Everyone is on one side of the ice. It comes across to Cole Caulfield. DeSmith comes across, takes a step out, squares him up. Nothing to shoot at. Very textbook from DeSmith. Then Juleson, with 48 seconds to go in the power play, takes a high sticking penalty. Can't really afford to do that. But then the Canucks get a little bit lucky. Nick Suzuki loses a skate blade. And this is a play that I'm not sure what to think about it, because Suzuki ends up getting to the bench eventually, right? He takes a while, but they show the camera pan over, and as Suzuki's about 8 feet from the bench, Newhook jumps on, which normally is fine. That's when guys jump on, but Suzuki doesn't have a skate blade, so he's not skating to the bench. He's crawling to the bench. There's I counted, I got to 6 Mississippis from after Newhook got on the ice and played the puck, mind you, before Suzuki got on the bench. But if you're on the ref side, you're like, he lost a skate blade, give him a bit of a break, right? So I don't know exactly what the decision is on that. It could have been too many men, but I also understand, like, hey, the guy lost a skate blade, give him a bit of a break, let the new guy come on, because that's just unlucky. And I get that too. But as a Canucks fan, and I'm biased, I think that should be a penalty. But if it happened to us, I wouldn't. Does that make sense? But either way, right as the 5-on-3 ends, so like 50 seconds into the 48-second 5-on-3, Mike Matheson scores. So the Canucks go back to full strength. It's 3-1, and that's pretty big for them. DeSmith is forced to make another big save after that. Pearson had a really great feed to Monahan alone in front, like right in the crease. DeSmith sliding to his left, made a great stop there. And then Gallagher loses a blade too. I just wrote Galley in my notes. Gallagher loses a blade too. Again, on the opposite side of the ice. Credit to him, because he made this like sort of galloping, like get your left foot blade in and hop and like end up falling, and then just do that like 8 times until you get to the bench. Who is their equipment manager, and why didn't he get the blades all the way in the skates? I don't know. I've never seen that happen, like 3 minutes apart, 2 guys on the same team losing blades. It ends up going to the Canucks as a power play on the ensuing rush. I think Pearson took a penalty. And then another great effort by power play one. They don't capitalize, but Pettersson made a really nice toe drag to find Brock Besser in front. So close to getting that through Jake Allen, but he just couldn't bury it. And then after that, the Canucks put on a little bit of pressure. Jake Allen makes an absolute masterclass bunch of saves here. Brock Besser had 2 prime chances. The rebound came to Phil DiGiuseppe skating in with the puck coming straight down the middle on the rebound, and he couldn't get that to go. Jake Allen kept them in this game when it was 3-1, but then the Habs pull their goalie. They need something. They send him to the bench. Brock Besser hits the empty net, his 12th goal in 15 games. And then Xhekaj scores. Xhekaj, right? Xhekaj. I was listening to the broadcast the whole game. Xhekaj scores with like 59 or 49 seconds left. Just a random wrist shot that DeSmith should have had. And like really DeSmith's only bad goal or only bad play of the night, I should say. And then that allows them to pull the goalie again, so the Canucks can get a 5th. Phil DiGiuseppe, nice selfless play from Besser to Miller to PDG. And they all get points on this one. So it's 5-2, the final score. Shots in this one ended up being 36-32. And I've got a lot of pluses, a lot of minuses in this one. Let's start with the PB&J line. DiGiuseppe, Miller, Besser, their pressure, their forecheck in this game was fantastic. Like every time they were on the ice, especially in the first period when the rest of the team wasn't really going on the second night of a back-to-back, they were going. They were causing turnovers. They played very well. Connor Garland gets a big plus for me. He was everywhere tonight. I don't know what the stats show for him. Connor Garland expected goals while he was on the ice was at 5-on-5. Oh my goodness, this is not moving. Where is it? I lost expected goals. I lost it. We've lost. Oh, here it is. 75% expected goals when Connor Garland was on the ice. 1 to 0.34 at 5-on-5. He was everywhere. He was causing turnovers. He scored a goal. He caused a second goal. Great night from him. Good bounce back night for the PDO. 5 goals on 36 shots. 2 goals allowed on 32 shots. Again, pretty even shot differential. Canucks come out ahead with 3 goals. Again, the empty netter skewed a little bit, but a good bounce back after last night. 10-game point streak for Filip Hronek. All assists, but that doesn't matter. He's up to 16 assists this season, which is pretty sweet for the guy. We love to see it. He's been good, kind of iffy defensively sometimes, but as a partner for Hughes, I've been very happy. I'm giving Anthony Beauvillier a plus in this one. I thought he had a pretty good game tonight. Analytically, pretty middle of the pack for the Canucks. Actually a negative when it comes to Corsi and expected goals, but I thought he actually played a pretty good game. So shout out Beauvillier. Again, the bar's pretty low, but it was better. Casey DeSmith. I had this written down as 1 goal on 33 shots, and then they changed all the shots. Now it's 2 goals on 32. I don't know how that happens, NHL, but 2 goals on 32 shots ain't bad. That's a pretty good night from Casey DeSmith. He continues to be very, very good. So it's a 938 on the night for him. He came into this game with a 919, so that'll only go up to like a 922 maybe. Casey DeSmith's been fantastic in relief. And then overall, my biggest plus is it's a pretty good road trip. I mean, they lose to Toronto in a pretty ugly game last night, but a good bounce back. They get 4 of 6 points on the road trip. I mean, you really can't ask for much more than that. And the team is 11-3-1. I mean, what a spot to be in. I mean, if we let's just pull up the old standings here. Canucks are 8-1-1 in their last 10. 66 goals for, 33 against. They have double the goals for than allowed. They are only behind Vegas in the Western Conference. They are ahead of Dallas by 2 points. You throw the East in there, they're only behind the Bruins. So the Canucks are 3rd in the NHL still to this day, which nothing to complain about there. On the minuses side, didn't love that Höglander was scratched for Teddy Bluger coming in. I think Höglander's been a real spark plug. I get why you had to take someone out, put Bluger back in after last night's game, especially when he's going to be rested and he hasn't played yet this year. I wish it was Beauvillier. Honestly, Höglander's been playing so well, and I wanted, right off the start of the game, I was saying Höglander should probably be in. First half of the game, like I mentioned before, they were so slow to get to pucks. It felt like every single time the puck would be played to the corner, the defenseman would look over, take half a second and then go put pressure on. They weren't jumping on pucks. They weren't reacting very fast. And part of that is, playing on the second night of a back-to-back, but so were the Habs. And I think if the Habs hadn't been on the second night of a back-to-back, that would have punished them more. Because I think the Habs were also a little bit slow on those. So the schedule helped is all I'm saying. And they got away with it, I think, in this one. Carson Soucy gets hurt, which is unfortunate. Again, I mentioned that before, but the Canucks need their defense to be going. And Elias Pettersson is a minus for me tonight. Nothing on the score sheet, no shots, 1 hit, 80% in the faceoff circle. I mean, that's great. And he also won one that he got waved out for that should have counted. Played 16:51 tonight, which was third amongst forwards, but he just doesn't look right. And look, am I being a little bit picky when we're talking about the leading scorer in the NHL with 25 points? Maybe a tad. He just doesn't look like himself out there. I know it's been mentioned that maybe he has a nagging injury, and it seems like maybe that's there. If it's getting worse, which I don't know it is, but if it is, like, you got to rest the guy if it is, because the Canucks need this guy for the long haul, right? Getting him in to be his 80% self in every game. I would rather miss him for a couple of games, especially when you have games against, the Islanders will be tough, but you do, and the Flames maybe, but you have the Kraken and the Sharks back to back, like the 18th and the 20th. Good candidates to maybe rest a guy if he's hurt, or if he needs more time than that, then you can loop those in as well. So the Canucks need the Canucks need Pettersson to be 100%. That's all I'm saying. And hopefully he is 100% because he hasn't really looked at. Again, it's being a little nitpicky for the best player in the league, but you can just tell with him, right? When he's on, he's creating chances, he's deking guys out, and he's just making plays on his own. Even if he scores 0 points in a night, that's not the problem. It's how he looks out there. And he hasn't looked like himself totally in the last couple of games. Either way, though, a win's a win. You look at the Canucks' last 4 games, they've all been 5-2. One of them was 6-2 the last 4 games. They only lost one of them. They're in a pretty good spot. 8-1-1 in their last 10. Third in the entire NHL in points. This team is looking really good, and I'm very excited to see where they take us. The Islanders game on the 15th, I will be on Game Over Vancouver on SDPN. I will try to do a video after that as well. So make sure you're subscribed here. We're on the road to 5K. Make sure you hit like, leave a comment with your thoughts on the game. Otherwise, I will see you next time.